Welcome to threadworks.com. Today we are going to talk about the color wheel and how it can help you in selecting fabrics for your next project. My name is Heidi and I love playing with color, and I think that color can intimidate some people, so I thought I would do a very brief overview of a color wheel, how it works, and how using a color wheel can help you pick the fabrics you want for the effect you want on your next project. So first off, I don't have a traditional color wheel here. You don't really need one. You can buy them to have as a reference tool. But the thing with quilters is we have printed fabric. We're not mixing color. So if you learn some basics about it, you don't need the color wheel. But let's go over it just so you have it just in case. We have here a little color wheel pincushion that you could make as a reference if you don't want to have a color wheel. And how it works is you have your primary colors. And I'm going to show you over here on the swatches a little bit more about it, but you have red, blue, and yellow for primary. Secondary colors are purple, which you get by mixing red and blue, so it's next to these two colors. We have orange, which is mixed yellow and red, will get you orange. And then we have green, which is yellow and blue, will get you green. And then out here, the outer colors, those are called tertiary colors, or third layer of colors. And that's what happens when you mix. You have a green and you mix some yellow into it, you end up with a line. And so I'm going to show you that on our samples, and then I'm going to show you how it works for your quilts. All right, over here, we've got all our samples laid out. So let's go over what I said on the color wheel and show you how it works. We have, again, our blue, our red, and our yellow. And if you mix the red and yellow, you're going to end up with an orange. And if you mix your red and blue, you end up with a purple. And if you mix your blue and yellow, you end up with a green. So this is our primary, our secondary. And now all of these are going to be what we get when we mix in some more colors. We have, when you mix yellow and you add a little bit of orange, you end up with more of a cheddar. When you have yellow and green and you add a little bit of green to your yellow, you end up with a chartreuse. Over here, move these out of the way. When you do the orange with the red, you end up with more of a coral. And when you do the orange with the yellow, you end up with more of this citrusy orange. Hopefully what you're starting to see, when you add orange, you add a little yellow, you can start seeing it in your fabrics. These here are going to be our warm colors. So this is what happens when you do orange and red, you end up with this peach. And then when you do red and blue, you end up with a maroon. So if you understand how the colors are working, then you can go ahead and start building quilts that are either going to be very dramatic or quieter. So I'm going to very quickly lay out the cool colors for you to see, and that way you will understand how those work. So we've got that color there, and this color here. So we got blue, green, purple. When you add blue and purple, you get a periwinkle. When you add blue and purple over here, you're going to get periwinkle if it's a lot of purple, and you're going to get this cobalty blue over here with a little bit of purple. Lime green, same thing. We add a little bit of blue, we end up with teal. We end up with a little purple, you're going to end up with a little bit warmer green. So now that we've got these all set up, you can automatically see, if you squint and look at your screen right now, these are the colors that are going to pop out at you first. These are going to be coming out at you second. Cool colors always go backwards, warm colors always go forward. So first of all, if you want a quilt to be very vibrant and very poppy and very exciting, you're going to do your blocks all warm colors. And if you want your quilt to be quiet and subtle and just soothing, you're going to do all cool colors. So you could see here the difference between those, that this is going to be hot on fire, make it very vibrant, and this is nice and quiet and subtle. So then what you could do is, say you want to have a quilt that has high impact, you're going to look at your color wheel and you would do colors opposite of each other. So yellow and purple are going to make a very vibrant quilt because the contrast is really high. Same thing with red and green, which is why we have these colors for Christmas. So if you want something to have a lot of impact and high in color, you would go opposite on the color wheel. Orange and blue is the other one that's very, very vibrant. And then you can use these shades to create the same impact, but by changing how much of each color is in it, you get a different, subtler quilt, where these primary colors are very, very contrasty. These get a little bit closer. So when you work with a color wheel, you want to think about, do you want to use neighboring fabrics? Like here, you can see this is very quiet, or do you want to use colors across from each other to create the high contrast? Do you want to mix the primaries so that the quilt is very true in color? Or do you want to come out here on the edge and mix in these colors here that have different colors in each color, making it a much more rich and higher in character fabric that will add a little bit of pop to your quilts? So that's a really quick overview on the color wheel and how you would use it, but this will at least give you an idea when you see those color wheels. What do I do with it? Why do I have it? It's because you can use this to remind you which colors work across from each other, which colors are next to each other, which are your secondary and primary. So when you go to pick fabrics, you could say, if I'm going to do a purple and green quilt, I'm going to have nice contrast, but not insanely high contrast. Or you could use purple and yellow, which is going to be much more intense in your face because you have a much higher contrast between the two colors. I hope this really quick and easy overview on how a color wheel works will help you when you pick your fabrics for your next project, or you could just pick the fabrics and make your own color wheel at home using the Color Theory pincushion pattern available at threadworks.com. And if you have any questions on color, you can always leave it below, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.